It is said that creatives can be anything, and our guest today is a proof of that. He's a multi-potentialized creative who dips his hand in creative design, apparel design, styling, and everything you can think about in the world of design. What's up, people? Quite enough. I am your host, the voice Jemimah, and this is that show where we amplify the voices and the stories of creatives. Now, my guest for today is one of my absolute faves. So today's episode is going to be so fun. So you better brace yourselves. He is, like I said, he is a multidimensional creative. He is so many things that we're going to hopefully touch all the aspects of him today. Ladies and gentlemen, we have the one, the only Chris Ngong. Hi, Chris.
Hi, Gemma.
How do you feel?
Special.
Really?
Yes, I do.
Why is that?
First of all, lights. Like everybody focuses on me. I know that sounds narcissistic, but special.
Okay.
You know. Plus, it's been a while since I've seen you.
So this is him putting himself on the spot. I didn't want to bring it up, but he just did. Anyway, welcome. I'm
Thank
happy to have you. I've been looking forward to this like forever, but then we're finally here. So I'm happy that we get to do this, right?
Thank you.
So, like I said, I love to put my guests on the spot
Okay.
by making them play games.
Okay.
Are you ready?
I'll try.
Yeah.
You know what? Yes, I am.
Okay. So I'm going. No, let me not tell you how we're going to go. Is this or that? Already.
Okay.
So, do you prefer? Even though I know the answer to this, do you prefer minimalistic or maximalistic styles?
Are you talking in terms of fashion?
Yeah, in terms of fashion.
You'd be surprised. Maximalistic.
I'm not surprised.
Are you?
I'm not.
You're not.
I'm not.
Okay. I thought you would say minimalistic. I don't know
No.
why.
I think from the conversations we've had like over the past few weeks, I think before now I would have told you minimalistic, but then the
Okay.
conversations we've had and some of the discoveries that you've had just made me change camps.
Okay,
But I
okay.
think maximalistic is for you, and then it makes
That
perfect
makes sense.
sense.
It does it? I don't know. I
No,
mean,
it makes sense to me. Even though I know you're trying to camouflage by just showing up all black, but then it still makes sense.
thank you.
All right.
Okay.
So, do you prefer working during the day or at night? This is so obvious.
Most creatives you ever meet are nocturnal. So, at night.
At night.
But I've had some of my best ideas during the day. So, I mean, it depends. Mostly at night, though.
Okay. It makes a lot of sense. So, what are some of the things you prefer to do during the day?
Sleep, work out. I mean, it doesn't seem so, but progress, you know. Like I said, sleep. I love to eat. I love good food. So during the day, I walk around, maybe go visit a friend, try to get something new to eat. But then I'm a creature of habit, so new always means just a different variation of the same thing I eat most times.
Okay.
So yeah,
Do you prefer sketching by hand or digital sketching?
sketching by hand. There's nothing rivals the feeling of a pencil to paper.
Okay. Now I'm curious. Have
Okay.
you ever tried doing anything digitally?
A lot of things digitally.
Okay. So, but you still prefer by
yeah,
hand?
I do. Because it feels more natural to sketch by hand on a paper, scan it, and then digitalize it.
Yeah, it makes
The
a lot
process
of sense.
just feels more artistic. Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I think for me, it happens when I get to write something. Like when an idea comes to my mind, the first thing I do, unless I don't have a pen or a book next to me, I always prefer to write it out. I don't know, it makes more sense to me. It
feels
flows.
better, yeah.
Because on your keyboard, sometimes your keyboard might go touch another thing and you're just in the flow, you're in the zone. You don't need something that will disrupt you in that moment, right? When you're in the zone.
What I love the best about the pen paper thing, most times actually pencil paper,
Pencil, yeah.
it feels natural. It doesn't feel like I have to, because okay, you were saying you make a mistake and you do this on the phone if you're typing. You still make mistakes while writing, yeah?
Really?
Okay, I do. Yeah. So if you write or sketch something and you cancel it out and you keep writing, you can see that you've cancelled something out. All of it
It's
is
part
a
of the
pic. Yeah, it
process.
is. It's a picture of your process. When you're typing, if you've cancelled something, you don't see that. You don't see how the idea generated and progressed into what its final form is. You see.
Okay.
So yeah,
So graphic design or motion design?
graphic design. Actually, no, I take it back. Motion design.
Okay, why? I'm
Why?
curious now.
Why? I think I've gotten the most I can out of graphic
Graphic
design,
design, yeah.
and the intrigue in the mystery of motion design is just there. It's captivating. Plus, motion design is graphic design brought to life. I
Yeah,
can't stick to the one, just the creative in me can't stick to the one that is not the fully progressed. So,
makes sense. So, away with this or that. Now, I
okay.
want to put you on the spot. Can you remember the first time we met?
Uh, I'm not going to disclose where the place was, but it was a creative studio I worked at, and you end up working at the same place after I had left. So I came to visit a former colleague, now friend, there and met you. Oh, this is Jemimah, na na na. She
Nah,
joined the
no.
place. She got here after you had left, and this, that. I was like, oh, okay, hi. And then most of the time it was just you and that person having a conversation, and I was just sat trying to figure you out.
So you were analyzing me.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
Anyway, we're going to have this conversation off camera.
Okay.
But before you came, so yes, we met at the creative studio that we all worked at. We're not disclosing the name. So I think I'd left for a while, and when I got back, you were there.
Was
Yes,
I?
yes, I'd left for a while. There was a period I wasn't coming, and then you showed up, and I came back that day to, I think, kind of bring back company stuff,
Okay.
company materials, and you were seated next to Kane, and he had previously before he came, he had spoken to me about. She was
What
like,
do you
"Oh,
say?
Chris, is this person? He's so amazing." I mean, you had good
I
reputation. Your
mean, I
reputation
mean.
precedes. Calm down. Your reputation precedes you because
Okay.
when he spoke about you, he was like, "Oh, he's so good at what he's doing." He had showed me your work before I had met you, and I already had this image of this person that he had described. So it was like he kind of rolled the red carpet for you before I met you, and then when I met you, I was like, "Oh, this makes sense."
What do you
Oh,
mean by this makes
like it
sense?
makes sense to the fact, or it kind of correlated with what he had said about you.
Okay.
He had a very good opinion of you. He holds you in high
I remember.
esteem.
See, now I'm remembering. I remember we had an intense, very random conversation. Well, I mean, I say random in the pretext of people meeting for the first time.
Yeah,
Do you remember that conversation?
I remember bits of it. I can't
Okay.
remember all of it.
Okay.
What was it
I
about?
don't. I don't think you want me to bring that up.
I think I know why you don't want to
Good.
bring it up.
Good.
But then it was really nice to meet you, and then getting to know you over time and seeing your work as a designer is one of like the most beautiful things, especially you being somebody who is intentional about his craft. But before we get into who Chris has evolved and become to this day, I want us to go back a bit. Like let's take a trip down memory lane.
I don't know if you want to do that, but
Before
okay.
before you decided, okay, I want to become a designer and all of that, where was your head at? Or let's say, how was your childhood like? What were the things you were up to as a child? I know you're up to a lot of mischief, probably.
Probably. Here's the thing. You said before I decided I wanted to become a designer. I
Uh,
didn't decide I wanted to become a designer.
uh, Before you became
No, no. I know what you're talking
okay.
about. I'm saying I decided I want to be in the creative field. I didn't want to follow the traditional route. Yeah.
Yeah,
Following your line of questioning, going back again.
yeah.
How did I figure that out?
No, before you figured out, what were the
Okay.
things you were up to as a child?
Ooh. Ooh. I used to do judo and boxing for fun. My sisters did tennis and I've forgotten something else. But I did judo and boxing because I used to get into fights. So so I was put in there by I think my uncle convinced my parents and I was put in there to channel the energy towards something positive. So, yeah, that's one of the multiple. I used to be heavy into coding, like programming.
Yeah, I think I saw that.
What else?
How did you even get into that coding thing?
Ooh, I had well, I had an interest in computers,
Yeah.
and the first one we ever had was fresh out of the was very old, by the way, and it was fresh out of the command line interface to the graphic user interface, right?
Okay.
So when I would always see hackers in movies, you see lines of code. I'm like, I genuinely want to. I mean, that looks cool at face value. I genuinely want to understand whether or what they are doing, right?
Yeah.
Cool. And then with the power of the internet, since we all grew up in that phase, that stage, right? Realized I have access to all the information I'll ever need in terms of both good and bad. And I fell in love with coding just that way, just out of pure curiosity. And then tried, studied, kept going.
Can I shock you?
Please do.
When I was still in secondary school, I had a flair for coding too, and I started working on my poetry website.
Okay.
Like I genuinely started coding
Is this
because
still up? Or was it ever up?
it wasn't ever up
Okay.
because I think the person who was teaching me at that time, our computer teacher, I think he changed schools or something, and it just kind of stopped my momentum. But at that time, I was genuinely curious about computers, and I started putting up because at school I was into poetry like mad, mad, mad. So everybody was like, "Okay, you are smart, you're curious." And my computer teacher was like, okay, why don't you come around, let's try stuff. And I would
Okay.
always go during break, during my free periods, and I'll just try stuff. And it was genuinely like from the back end, I was still seeing. I remember the
That,
interface was purple
oh,
because I loved purple at that time.
that just sounds so MySpacey. So,
So yeah.
you're speaking about you having a computer phase, you a coding phase. I'm more interested in the poetry. Do you still do that?
I still do, but I don't put it out.
Why not?
Sorry, this is about you. This is about me. Because I don't know. With time, other my other my other talent or the other things I love more kind of took the front row in the other things I loved to do. So things like hosting, presenting kind of came forward. But
Fair
poetry
enough.
is kind of like my escape. Poetry is like my most vulnerable time. I have a Medium account. Many people don't know that. I have a Medium account. I kind of put a lot of stuff out. And yeah, so I still put it out. It's just that a lot of people don't know that I do. So yes, back to you.
Okay.
We're taking a trip down memory lane. So you had a coding phase. So you wanted to be in the, at what point did you decide you wanted to be in the creative
Ooh,
space?
I've tried for multiple years to find that specific video. Yeah. It's probably Chris Doe or Gary Vaynerchuk, one of these speakers in this field. They said something along the lines of, to find what you'll be most passionate about, find something you love to do without trying, and find something you have genuine interest in. I used to love drawing, sketching, right? I had genuine interest in just how computers work. Combine that with art and its digital, blah, 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 right? And while doing research on that, because they said if you do make that combination, you'll probably find a field of work, like a career line. Cool. So trying to combine art and something digital plus communication, because that's what I see design as.
Yeah,
I just like speaking. I used to. Right now, okay.
we need to
So
have a show together.
do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think I've
We
told you
should. You have.
before.
You actually have.
Yes.
Now that I remember, I think about it. You have.
Okay, let's stay on track.
But yeah, art and computers plus just communication, visual communication. What looks good. Yeah, because that's what I see graphic design as. The best graphic designers, or just designers as a whole, the best creatives are people who have in one line, the ability to make things look good. So yeah, that's it.
So I want to understand your when okay, you've spoken about how you were able to find the creative path you wanted to take, right?
Okay.
So I want to come back to our context, being in an African home, taking the decision that okay, I want to dive into the creative world. And you've spoken about starting out in the creative. Which part of creativity did you start off with? The graphic design, or which did you start with?
Do you see the okay? Did you notice 2000? Let's say 22,
Yeah.
when these digital portraits were a thing. Someone
Yes.
who paints the digital version of your picture.
Yes.
In 2015, I used to do that with my phone, and since it wasn't that popular, I used to make a lot of money from it. So yeah, that was the first thing, and I was like, oh, I'm doing something I like, and I'm making money. Fuck, it's cool.
Everything's good.
So yeah, that was my first foot in. But if you're asking how I got into graphic design as work, the pandemic, 2020, there was a massive influx of people leaving in-person sales, yeah, to more online shops and social media. People got to realize the power of social media at that point.
Yeah.
Okay, that means at least there was a gap in the market for people who want to transition from real life sales or just real life anything to having an online presence,
Yeah.
but not knowing how to do it. That's why I stepped in. Started handling people's social media, graphic design, content creation, just for their social media. People randomly wanted to make 20th May or Happy New Week posters and da da da. And then that's where I came in. I got my first contract from a Cameroonian company. Then my second one was not from anyone in Africa. And then that's when I saw, oh, okay, there's money in this. And I was like, yeah. Funny enough, I was studying for GC then. So I just said, yeah, that one should wait. And then, got that. That was the start of everything.
So, what was your parents' reaction to you deciding, okay, you wanted to leave that and focus on your creative side? I'm very curious.
Leave school without getting into it any much at all. At all. Not good.
Okay.
But they are, I want to say they have, but not really. They are growing to live with it.
Okay, that
So,
makes sense.
I mean, it's typical in an African home. So, what do you expect? So,
I
yeah.
wasn't expecting anything different, so I just want maybe
But
your
then
case
they,
would
they,
have been
they mean
different.
they meant well.
Yeah, of
So, they
course.
always do
You
mean well.
always mean well,
So,
because the generations are different, their realities are different. So it's more about thinking of the stability of their kids, even after they are not here and all of that. So it makes a
true.
lot of sense. But then to me, I see it as something audacious, but then that's what our generation is about, being audacious, fighting for the life that you want to live. Most times our parents were more about what could bring the income to the house, what could, create sustainability. But we decided, okay, we want to follow the thing we are most excited about. But then the thing is, I know that you want to say something. The thing is, even with the passion, we also have to think of like
Yeah.
what brings in
Passion
the
doesn't feed you.
income. Passion doesn't feed you, and exposure doesn't feed you. Okay. So after graphic design, what next?
The graphic design phase was honestly not even graphic. I focused because in graphic design there are different segments. Yeah,
Segment,
I
yes.
focused in on brand identity design.
Okay.
Simply explained, a business, a brand, a company, something comes to me, I handle everything you can see and feel around them. So the word brand, visual identity, from the logo to the typography to the way they communicate,
Yeah.
to the tone in which they
The
communicate,
tone,
just
yeah.
little things. That lasted for 2 years intensely. Then that's when my fashion phase
Style.
infiltrated. I was like, okay, I've made some money from design. What do I want to do next? 2022. I I've wanted to get into fashion for a long time. Yeah.
Really?
I think from 2015, I think. I got this close to launching a t-shirt brand. I don't even want to call it a clothing brand. A t-shirt brand. Random stuff. It would have failed so badly. I'm just saying.
Why
I
do you
didn't.
think it would fail?
I mean, maybe it's hindsight. I'm looking at what I can do now and what I could do then, and it's just so yeah. Randomly started designing tea. Oh, I was sick. This is my brain doing random stuff right now. I was sick for a long time. I think it was August, 2 months, August and September 2022. Yeah.
Okay.
And like at the end of September, I was so pissed off that why am I sick? I've not worked for 2 months. I'm not healthy. I'm da da da. So I decided to change my life. Cool. I was like, okay, what do I do to be able to I want to make I want to be able to call the change I'm making drastic. I don't care what it is. The word drastic has to be
Involved.
yeah. So I was like, okay, I've wanted to get into fashion. How do I get into fashion? I was like, okay, I cannot just burst into the scene. You have to work your way up. In some that's my way of doing it has been very unorthodox and whatever. I started designing t-shirts online. I was like, okay, this is going to be a means of for me to just get my creative brain working and da da da, right? Cool. The first day, designed three t-shirts in what 45 minutes. Posted it, fresh account, no followers, yeah? By the end of the day, I've had gotten messages from people from about five, I think, to buy two of those designs. So at the end of the day, I had sold both of them. I was like, oh, okay. I cannot just use this as a way to get my foot into the fashion industry, but as a way or a means to an end, like an extra source of income, right? Cool. After that, I think the last t-shirt sold the next day. I was like, okay, try again. All three of them sold in the same day, and that just kept happening and happening. And the I want to call it fan base, not fan base, the clientele grew, and what is mostly word of mouth because not many people were doing it then. But then, 2023, that I did that for like a year. That's what I'm trying to say. 2023, I was like, okay, this is getting boring. How can I make some other drastic change? Right? Cool. I decided to stop doing that, and I don't think now this is again hindsight speaking. I don't think that was the right decision. Why it from one I left from one day having a very good source of income to not having one at all. Because if I was going to commit to what I'm doing in terms of change, I would not want to be one foot in, one foot out. Yeah? Cool. So I stopped with the and when I say t-shirts, it didn't just end there. Some people would reach out for me to design entire collections, 12-piece collections, da da da. Right? Cool. And while doing that, I would let them know I used to do brand identity design. So that's another thing. I can
Okay.
brand your entire clothing line and clothing brand and then that entire identity for it. Cool. Made me a good amount of money, so I felt more comfortable taking a decision. I'm going to stop. Cool. Why did I stop? I wanted to go into more of a creative director role, more of a behind the scenes because I've gotten to see what throughout the 2022 I got to work with manufacturers overseas, got in contact with factories, got built relationships with other big brand owners and whatnot.
Okay.
So that in my professional eye was okay, I've gotten a good or a solid understanding of how things work behind the scenes. I want to understand how things work from a consumer standpoint. What makes you see something and say, oh, I want to buy this? Not just end at, I like this. What makes you go to the extent of saying, I want to buy this? So that's where marketing comes into play. Yeah. So with my experience in brand identity design, I didn't want to do anything. I didn't want to get into it in the typical way. Same way I didn't get into the designing fashion world in the typical way. I started
Typical way,
designing
yeah.
t-shirts. Cool. I don't want to disclose how. I showed you literally just today. But I created this alter ego animated character and used him as my it's or I'm really trying not to say the name. It's me, but like the fashion part of me
Okay.
removed from every other part of me. Cool. So throughout 2000, forgotten the year, 2024, I think, or 23, one of them, I built the platform that is solely focused on what consumers see. Yeah, so talking about fashion trends, talking about predicting trends, what's the next big thing, styling outfits I have in my mind. People would, I built a community. People would comment that, okay, what would I wear with this pair of trousers? What would you wear with this t-shirt? I have these pair of shoes. What do you think? Da da da. Right? Cool. That went on. That went on. That went on, and that is currently who I am.
I think you have one of the most fascinating minds that I've ever met, and I think I tell you all the time. I
Okay.
think even our mutual friend Kane says that the same thing, because every time we get to have a conversation about you, we get to talk about that, right?
Okay.
You know, one of the things that okay, there was this day I was going through somebody's website, and it's like a photographer that I actually admire,
Okay.
and at the bottom I see Chris Ngong. I was like, what is this? And the first person I reached out to was Ken. I was like, I just saw this. He was like, yes, he did it. And I'm like, okay, what doesn't this guy do? Like, that's the
I
question we
used
should
to
be
code,
asking.
so
They used to code, so it was like, okay, you do almost everything, right? And it's like at every stage in your life, you get to decide, okay, you want to move to the next level. You're not comfortable. It's like you're always looking for what would they say? Camerooners would say to deblock notre niveau.
you
Like
say
you love to like, okay, we've done this.
level up.
Yes, level up. That's what I was looking for. You love to level up at every point in your life, which sounds like exciting. Now I want to focus more on like the fashion side, where you decided, okay, we're interested in fashion. Where did that interest in fashion come from? I'm curious.
The statement I made about making things look good,
Yeah.
that has been my most driving thing in terms of
Driving
everything.
force.
Yeah.
Okay.
When I was young, I used to hate that they would dress me. Sunday morning, they say go go take a shower or something. I'll come back. Everything is there for me, and I'll be like, I don't. But did I have a choice? No. And when I was able to say, yeah, I'm the one choosing what I'm wearing, I didn't even say that. I woke up and chose, I put it on the bed so they'll come see it and say, yeah, it's already there. I'll wear it, they'll shout. And I'm like, okay. I did that over and over, and eventually my mom and my sisters were like, okay, ah, if you don't want to look nice, no, 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 no. I'm like, all right. I look nice to myself at least.
Yeah.
Now, your question was, how did I get into it? How did I
Where did the
decide? Where
interest
did it?
come from?
Cool.
Yeah.
I read somewhere that fashion is an external expression of who you are within. Yeah, it's one of the means for an external expression of who you are within.
Makes a lot of sense.
And that makes exactly. So you see people who wear, okay, let's say you see someone dressed in all black, not just all black, leather. You would probably be able to tell me what type of person that is.
Yeah.
Like an 80% chance. Yeah? Cool. You see a girl dressed in all pink, not sweatpants or anything, a skirt.
Pink
A skirt, pink
skirts.
socks, all of that.
Oh, peplon and
She
all
will
that.
probably have a high pitched voice. Yeah? Cool. So, yeah, like I said, fashion to me is a form of self expression. And at some point in my life, I did not know, like, puberty. I wanted to know who I am. I wanted to know who I was becoming. I wanted to have control over who I was becoming. I didn't just want to let the world form
From you.
me. So, yeah, that's how my interest in fashion started happening.
Now, you've mentioned how when you started graphic design and also your apparel design, like businesses were coming not just in Cameroon but also globally, right? I want to, as creatives, it's one thing to have the talent or to have the creativity. It's another thing managing a brand or a business, right? Did you have prior knowledge to on how to
Ooh,
manage
see,
business,
see,
or how
I
did
like
that
that.
experience go?
I have always had a very, very intense interest in business as a whole.
Okay.
So I would read business books, and autobiographies and biographies of business gurus and whatever. Right? I'm kind of a bossy character in terms of how I like things to be. I like things to be a certain type of way. So not if, when I started getting into design and I noticed, oh, it's not just the creative side you have to handle. It's more of, well, not just more of, there's another side of you have to handle clients. You need to be able to communicate. You need to be able to say, to price people. You need to be able to know how to price people. The knowledge I had gained from the things I'd read before came in handy. Plus, I just like random knowledge acquisition. Just read and listen to random stuff. Just pile them some out in my head. I'm like, sometime, somewhere, some way, it'll be important. And it hasn't failed me since.
That's really nice because I've had or I've had conversations with a lot of creatives where it's like they're more excited. Not just creatives, I've had conversations with myself where I'm usually more excited about doing the work, the creative work, and then the business side is not something that I'm usually comfortable, or I try to shy away from that conversation. But then it's always been something that has come back to bite me in the ass. Sorry.
Why did
And
you say
it's
sorry? Why did you say sorry for that? Why did you say
I'm
sorry?
sorry to myself, not the audience. Because I've seen a lot.
I
Well,
mean, you
it's
shouldn't say sorry. It's without going through that, you wouldn't be where you are right now.
anyway.
Go ahead.
But yeah, it's kind of interesting to see like where you were coming from, your interest. And that's why I say you have one of like the most brilliant minds I've met, because it's like you're very intentional about everything you put your mind to, even to the level or where you want to be every year or at every point. I think we're having some conversation. We're having a conversation some weeks back, and you spoke about something that you decided to put yourself through, and to something that you wanted to be intentional. I'm like, why would I stress myself? I say I'm going to do this, but then
Do you want to
yeah,
say what that thing is?
no, I don't want to say it. It's our conversation.
Okay.
Yeah, this one
Okay.
people are listening in on us, even though we are pretending they are not. But
Sure.
then, what would you say has been like the proudest moment of you being a designer? What has been a project probably you've worked on that you've been so impressed with?
See, I would have to think about that.
Really? I was thinking you'd have like a list already ready to go.
Here's the thing. I take the most pride, at least, in the things I do for myself,
That makes sense.
because it's easy to get lost in the sea of clients you can, I hope, other creatives are in. And when I'm able to take a step back and say, okay, what can I do for myself? What can I do that betters the brand identity of who I am, Chris Ngong? Yeah. That has been the most fulfilling, at least.
Okay.
So let's say the undisclosed fashion identity I created, that has been my most fulfilling. Why? I've not just built or gathered knowledge, I've built a community of random people from Australia, the USA, Europe, Russia. I have someone from Saudi Arabia who just randomly talk to me about fashion. They'll pop up and we'll talk about fashion. And after that, they'll ask me how I'm doing. They hope I'm well. And I ask them the same thing. So it just feels nice.
Yeah. I think like I still go back to the conversations that I have with Kane. He's always talking about your fashion style. He never told me like who the side it was. He never disclosed, but he always talks about it and how he's impressed with the work that you do there. Shout out to you, Kane. He's always talking about like you and your work in fashion, and I think I'm so impressed about it. Right now, I want to ask: is there going to be a time where you decide to like style people? because I love the world of fashion, but like I was telling you before the camera came on, I love the world of fashion, but not as a stylist or somebody who has an idea a lot about it, but as a muse. So would there be a time where you'd want to like style people?
There will be a time where I want to make my own clothes,
Okay.
and with them, I would like to style the people who I would like to have large scale runway shows, right? And with that comes with styling the models who wear the clothes. So yeah, in that sense, yes. I don't think I would like to style people
Like
like
for a
individuals for a living. No.
individual. Yeah.
Why? The statement, fashion is a form of self-expression. I would need to know and understand who you are.
So what if you understand who the person is?
Then it's easy.
So let me use myself as an example. So if it were me, or if it was me, or yeah,
What do you mean?
like
How would I style you?
yes, would you want to? Yes, that's the question.
Would I want to, I would style any of my friends, pretty much.
Okay.
Anybody I know, I
Okay.
would
Do
style
you
them.
know
I
me?
don't I hope I do.
Okay. Now you've mentioned this statement a lot about fashion being an expression of self, right? Who would you say Chris Ngong is? Who would you, if they ask you who is Chris Ngong, who would you say he is?
Ooh. See, that's very heavy. That's a very heavy question. I am an all-round creative with a very, very weirdly deep understanding of psychology and philosophy. And with that comes with understanding people. And earlier we spoke about design being communication. And you need to be able to send or get ideas and words across in the best way possible. To do that, you need to be able to understand people. I am someone who strives to understand people and communicate with people. That's who Chris is trying to be. Who I am is someone who is trying to stay alive. Yes, in many senses.
Why in many senses alive?
In the first sense, stay alive. When I die, I hope, I want, I know eternal life. That is me being alive.
Through the work you've done?
Oh no, through Jesus Christ.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh, see, I would like to be immortalized through the work I've done, and not in the way you would think.
Okay.
See, okay, are you familiar with Kanye West?
Yes.
There's some random interview of his, I think it's 2020.
Okay.
He was wearing some purple, I think, hoodie, right? He said something, I don't remember exactly what he said. He says a lot of things. He said something along the lines of, he doesn't want to be remembered as the name. He wants the people who created the stop sign, you don't know who that person is, but the stop sign will forever be there.
Forever be
The
there.
person who created how we lay foundations for homes. His methods, he has been immortalized through just every single building standing everywhere. That's how I want to be immortalized. I don't want to be remembered. I want to be immortalized.
Okay.
So yeah, because I don't think I'm that important in the grand scheme of things. So I don't want Chris Ngong to be remembered. I want what I have done
Don't.
to be immortalized.
Immortalized. I think it makes a lot of sense, and it's also something I've always wanted to do. That's why in most of the projects I do, I don't kind of put my name there. It's more about the name of the project, because
See,
to me
that's
it's
why I'm not on social media that much.
makes sense, and that's why I'm not on social media. Even though my job requires me to be,
Yeah, you
but
do,
it's
you
more
do.
about like I want to build something that is bigger than me, because like you said,
There you go.
we are not important in the grand scheme of things, but I want to create something that even in years to come, people can keep it going. It's not about putting a statue and putting Gemma's name there. It's about the work that needs to be done. And to me, that's important. And I'm happy that we think like that in the same way. It means like I'm brilliant. I mean, I see as
You
someone
are,
as
you are,
brilliant.
you are.
So, what would you say has been like the most challenging thing about your journey so far as an all-round creative? Let's aside
Cameroon.
of your health, aside your
Cameroon.
health. Okay.
Cameroon has been one of the biggest hindrances. And
I
no
think
offense,
that's
I love my country. Yeah, who am I
that's
saying no offense
obvious.
to? I love my country, but Jesus Christ. I, yeah, that. I don't think what's understood doesn't need to be explained. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mental health as well.
In what sense?
Ooh, I don't think we should get into that. In every sense of the phrase itself, of mental health, I go through phases of and I go through phases of over enthusiastic, and I need to be able to find that sweet spot where I'm okay in myself, I'm okay with the people around me, and I'm okay with work.
Okay.
That's the best place. So I struggle with it though.
Okay. Okay, so we shouldn't get into that. This is not a
Yes,
therapy
please.
podcast. Yes. Because if we start, I will join you to cry.
Oh,
But then I'm really happy with how much you've evolved over the years. And to me, I feel like you haven't even touched, this is just like the tip of the iceberg of
start.
who Chris Ngong is. And
Remember the name.
uh,
Remember the name.
remember the name, sorry. But then I'm excited to see what you have like coming up and everything you would ever do. And I'm so happy that you shared that alter ego with me. I think
Okay.
that's going to be my new favorite camp.
Yes,
Don't
wow.
worry, I'll try to be as invisible as possible.
Please do.
But I'm really happy that you know you're intentional about everything you do, every step that you take, and everything just generally about you, because you know we can be, or we are in a world where a lot is happening with the digital world that can kind of take over our lives, and there's expectation from family, from friends, from so many people, but then choosing to be yourself in a world that is trying to tell you who you need to be is, to me, I think it's a great feat, and you being able to do that is something that I absolutely love. Now,
Thank you. See, you sit here and say this about people.
yeah,
Have you ever said it to yourself?
what exactly?
Have you ever thanked yourself for being yourself? Because you do all this amazing work. People may not see it. A lot of people do. Do you thank yourself for it?
I think I probably, I don't know,
Do
probably
you?
did.
Okay.
Just
You
like
should.
let me
You
tell
should
you,
though.
let me explain. It's like when somebody asked me why the name The Voice Gemma, right? And every time I tell people, it's not, the name is not even about me. People think the name is like my name. The Voice
It's not.
Gemma, it's me, it's you, and it's us.
Okay.
It's like something, it's a name I created that felt like we were going to use this to do something bigger than me. I don't know if you understand. It's like a platform that we can use to amplify the voices of other people.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's not me. Yes, it's my have my name somewhere in it, but it's like bigger than me. I don't see myself like very important in the grand scheme of things, to be honest. That's
Okay.
how much I am so oblivious. And just like you, like so many times I've had issues with people where they're like, you have to show up more on social media. But to be honest, I don't care about social media. Like, I've never said this out loud, but I actually don't care about social media. If today
Okay.
I should take social media seriously, it's probably because there's a particular gig I want to get, or something particular I need to get. But on the grand scheme of things, I've always been somebody that I just felt like my life's mission was to be able to put other people forward rather than myself. So I don't
That's
know if it makes
nice.
sense.
That's
So I
beautiful.
actually usually enjoy sitting with people. So it's like when I sit with a guest, it's like listening to them, seeing the spark in their eyes when they talk about the things they
Does it
love, the
spark my eye?
things, yes,
Okay.
the things they love, the things they are up to. It makes me happy. And I tell people every time I leave set, I'm happier than when I came. Like when I arrived here, I was kind of feeling down and sick. But as I started, I just enjoyed it. So that's it for me, if that makes sense.
That's nice.
Anyway, I know you're a music head. You love to
Ooh.
listen to music.
Ooh.
You love to
Ooh.
music. What would you say is your all-time favorite song or album
Song,
or
I don't think it's
project or
possible. I don't think it's possible.
okay?
Anyone who claims to love music, at
Yeah.
least the way I do, cannot have a favorite song.
So, what are some projects that have kind of like sparked your mind or you found interesting so far?
Do you listen to Daniel Caesar?
Yes, I do.
I've forgotten the name of the project he released in 2023.
Okay.
Blue album cover.
Oh, I know the product, but I don't know the
There
name.
you go. I love that album.
Oh,
Funny
makes
thing,
sense.
I found it just this year.
Really? I think I did either 2020 or
I
2024.
found it just this year, so I was obsessed for like a good 2 months. But all-time favorite, all-time Kendrick Lamar. Yeah, enough said. His well, you said Project, so I feel it's only right for me to actually give us Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, 2022.
Okay.
After he had been inactive as an artist
Yeah.
for 1,855 days, I think.
You had to put that out.
Yeah, it. I love it because it's like it's centered around therapy
Okay.
and his healing. So not just through seeing his healing and hearing of his trials and tribulations and all that, and how he's getting through them as a human being, helps me think about the things I go through and beat myself up for when I don't stop and remember I'm just human sometimes. So yeah, that album is beautiful to me, among others.
Okay. Makes
Top
sense.
three artists: Kendrick, weirdly enough, still Kanye West, and I love that man. But so yeah, Kendrick, Kanye West, and Andre 3000.
Oh,
Not as
I love
active
that
as
guy.
he was before, but yeah.
Okay. What is the most exciting thing about being a creative for you?
The fact, ooh, see, this is a nice question. I like this question.
Okay.
The fact that I can sit one day and have an idea, like something that came from nowhere but my mind, and after 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months of work, have a final project that I can share with people. That this is from my head, this is from my brain. Yeah, it's just beautiful. I'm like, oh yeah, this is me. This is my baby. Yeah.
I think it makes sense. I think it's the same thing with Cardinal. This project is 2 years old. People
Okay.
don't know. I wrote
Jesus.
I wrote this project in 2022. So I think this is going to be a third year. I wrote it in 2022, and I really really wanted to do it, but at that time so many things were going on and I couldn't do it. But I just
Okay.
put it aside. But I knew that someday I was going to do it. And then the first time, like when the first episode came out, it was like one of my proudest moments. It's like,
Finally.
this my
Yeah.
baby. So it's so exciting, and I just feel like being a creative, it's like it's spiritual because it's bringing to life something that didn't have life before. It starts with a little spark that builds into a masterpiece. I think that's a beautiful thing about being a creative, and that's one of the things I love about creatives. That you decide,
See, I'm
okay,
going to write that in a book, from a spark to a masterpiece.
all
That's
right,
beautiful.
you're welcome.
You're welcome.
So that's one of the reasons I actually love creatives, because I feel like everybody's a creative, but you just have to find that calling or accept the calling.
Some people think they are not creative. I've always been against that. I just believe you haven't found your medium to express that
Or
creativity.
you are refusing.
Ooh,
You are
see, I
refusing.
haven't thought about it that way.
There are people who refuse. There was a point I was refusing that I was creative. Yes. We are not going to
Why?
get into that. Maybe I'll do a whole episode with myself. I'm going to talk about it, but there are points where
Ooh,
I didn't think I
a
was
quite enough
creative.
episode about you by you.
This is about Chris, guys.
Okay.
Let's focus on Chris.
Okay.
So we have another game.
Okay.
So I'm going to start a sentence and you're going to complete it.
This is risky, but okay.
Don't think too much.
Let's do it.
If I could define my style in one word, it will be.
Dark.
Anyway, in 5 years, I will be.
Happy.
My dream collab will be with.
Jesus Christ when I'm dead.
I'm feeling jealous, but it makes sense. I thought you were going to say with me, but let's move on. The best project I've worked on is
You said don't think too much.
yes, the first thing that comes to your mind. That's part of the game.
Heath. The words hope plus faith blended together to make the word Heath.
Heath. Okay.
Heath. Haith.
Haith. Why? I was thinking of Heath. Anyway, let's keep going. The best thing about being a designer is
Idea to product.
if I could send a message to one of my worst clients, it would be
Fat head. Very fat head. And he actually had a fat head. That's the funny part. But
we're going to continue this conversation off camera because now I'm interested. But yeah, thank you for indulging me.
thank you.
Do you have any question for me? Because I feel like you have a lot of questions for me, but because you're one of my faves, I'll give you the opportunity to ask me one question. One question before I let you go.
Flip the question. Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Where do you want to be in 5 years?
Now, keep in mind, not where you think you will be. Where do you want to be?
Where do I want to be? In 5 years, I want to have my production company. I want to.
We talked about this. We spoke about this.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
go
want to have
ahead.
my production company. I want to be able to amplify the projects of more creatives. It will come a time where I wouldn't be in front of the camera.
Okay.
Other people would be in front of the camera.
Yes,
So yeah, I want to be behind and just let people express themselves. So if there are projects like this, whatever kind of project, whether it's in film, fashion, there's so much I want to do in the creative space, right? But mostly behind the scenes. So yeah, in
So you
5
want
years.
to be able to facilitate people who do what you do currently?
Yes, even have like funds for creative grants for creatives. Yes, that's what I want to be able to do. And also, I want to have my chateau in Italy. Yes.
Enough said.
Enough said. So yeah, so before I let you go, I've had a fantastic time. So if you could write a letter to the young Chris, what would you write in that letter? So let me start it off for you.
Okay.
Dear Chris, comma.
It gets better. Shut up. Stop complaining. Smile more. It gets better. There's no need to be moody all the time.
Now that you've said this letter, I just
Okay.
have I just have one last question. Do you think you grew up too fast?
I think I was forced to.
Why?
Life.
Okay.
Life happens, And just the notion, I'm the only son to my parents.
Okay.
Just the notion that, I have to be something,
Yeah.
So it sped up the process of going through teenagehood or something. I'm like, okay, I have to grow up, I have to do so, I have to be something. So yeah.
Okay.
Maybe, but I did enjoy my childhood. Don't get it twisted. So yeah.
All right. Makes sense. Well, I had a lot of fun having you on Cardinal. Finally, did you have fun?
I enjoyed my time. I was nervous at the start, but then
My superpowers.
that's
Well, guys, we had the amazing Chris Ngong on Quadernev, and I hope you had fun, you enjoyed. Make sure you follow him on all social media platforms, including the one that he hasn't disclosed. Make sure you find it. I'm not going to give you all the information.
You can if you
you
look
can
hard
find
enough.
it. If you look hard, you can find it. Well, catch you on the next episode of Quadernev. I remain your host, the voice Jemimah, and always remember there is something inside of you that the world needs to hear. Catch you soon.